YouTube, we are back on another Wuthering Waves video. We are Wuthering playing Wuthering Waves. And so today what I did is I went through all of the limited 5-star characters' cons and their weapons. And I decided, I made a tier list. Should you roll for the cons, should you roll for the weapons, or should you skip and save your asteroid for something else? Now, I feel like sometimes people say that cons are needed, especially on a character like Jhinshi or whatever the case may be, but it really is not the case. So I break down all of these different factors for each specific character and go into my explanations of why I think this one is worth it, why this isn't worth it, etc. Normally, we only go up to C2, as I said. Normally, after C2, like at that point, you're getting into whale territory where realistically the character's going to be good no matter what. And again, you have to keep in mind weapons are pretty much guaranteed in this game. 80 pity, you're guaranteed to get it. So you probably know the answer for most of these already, but I give you an actual genuine reasoning. Now, towards the end of the video, I did keep a little bit of discourse where my chat was disagreeing with me on one of my Changli takes, and just so that way I felt like it's kind of interesting so people could see both sides. With that being said, I love you. I love your mother even more. I'll see you in the next one. We're only doing 5 stars. Go to with the sauce. Very good. Add go for weapon and not applicable. So we could start with Shorekeeper. Now, Shorekeeper is an interesting situation. I actually want to add another tier. I actually want to add one more. Yo, I appreciate the follow, Lily. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome in. Having a great day today. Dab me up, Stinky. How we feeling? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this row would just straight up be skip, weapon, slash con, and save. I think that's valid. I think skipping. Okay. I think this is good. Skip both. Okay. Valid, right? Go to with the sauce, C1 through 2. Very good. Go for weapon, skip both. I think we take out. I think it's either you go for the weapon, you go for the cons, or you skip. I think is a cop-out. Sure, Shorekeeper C2 is good, man. Just investing in DPS is favored. Okay, so again, let's start with Shorekeeper, right? Starting with Shorekeeper. The reason she's an interesting situation, I'm not gonna lie to you. In her kit, she already gives you 12.5% crit rate, and then after that gives you 25% crit damage, right? On top of all of other buffs. So C1 says the Stellarons, hold on, the Stellargrams, I said Stellaron, I'm thinking of fucking Honkai Star Rail. So the Stellargrams generated by Resonance, Liberation, and Loop gain the following enhancements. The Infective Rage of Healing and buffs extended by 150%. Now, while this is cool, well, let's just finish reading it before I roast it. The duration is extended by 10 seconds, which is nice. Casting skill into Discriminate no longer ends the existing Stellarum. So here's my problem. Why I think this is a waste. Just straight up. Again, she gives you 12.5% crit rate, 20 plus crit damage already. And if you roll her with just variation and good ER, I think this is a waste of time. I don't believe C1 is worth it. She already gives you an ungodly amount of buffs. Therefore, I think that is still kind of sus, but let's go to C2. So C1 is not huge, not useless. C2 is goated. Okay, so the outer stellar realm now increases the attack of all people by 40%. Here's why I don't think it's needed, though. Here is my thought process. And for her in particular, we're gonna rank her in a moment. I rank her as skip both. Skip her weapon and skip her cons. So when you do pulls, again, it is 80 pulls to guarantee a 5-star. If you lose your 50-50, it is a maximum of 160. So let's just say you do that, right? You could get her weapon guaranteed for 80, but her weapon really isn't required because variation exists. I feel like I don't need to go in depth on that one. I just think you are better off if you have variation, if you have your 230 ER, which is not hard to get. It is a waste of time because she already gives you an ungodly amount of buffs. And most likely you're running this with either Xiangli Yao, Changli, or even let's say or Jiyan, to the point where you don't really need 40% extra attack. I think it's a little overkill. I would personally rather roll for another new DPS character. Let's say you don't have Jiyan or Camilla, than sit there and spend another 160 plus, because realistically to get to C2, to make C2 confirmed, is 160 times 2 is 320 pulls. I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, logically, I'd skip basically every con, but you're comparing to others. No, so we're not comparing other cons to others. We're comparing them in terms of their pull value. Is their pull value worth it? Their weapon, you either go for their weapon, their cons, or neither. You skip. 40% attack on top of 25% crit damage is a lot. Yes, but what do you need that for? That's over. That is an ungodly amount of overkill. Like, that's overkill to the max. Even in the new overdrive zone, you can complete most of it, especially the left and the right tower, with just her, like, base C0. Even the right, actually, left in the middle tower. The right tower is a little annoying because you need CC, but I don't think it's worth it. That's basically getting dupes on every deep single one of your DPS. Do you really need that, though? That's how powerful it is. I would say cons wise, Jinshi's S1 is nuts, for example. Jiyan S1 is goated because you don't need the energy regen anymore. We definitely need energy regen. We'll tackle Jiyan next. He's technically, it's called more damage, but she's already okay. You are either free to play or you're not spending a lot of money, right? Do you need all of that extra damage if your character's already decently built enough? That's my point. If I'm looking at this from a free to play perspective, I would not pull this. Again, that is 320 pulls on top of the other pulls you have to do. It's like dupes of every character on your team. I just don't think it's worth your pulls. I need that 2 milli. I need the 2 milli vanilla too of Mora, but I don't think I think it's too much. I think it's too much, right? She's already giving you an ungodly amount of buffs. At that point, just pull a double. Oh yeah, sorry. They almost skip every single character is going to be the skip aside from weapons. Pretty much. I don't think you need constellations in this game, and this is why we're making this list. The next person would be Jiyan. Jiyan. C1 removes energy regen. It's pretty big. Let's see. What does he have? I really don't know his constellations. Cons in general are not needed. I think cons in this game. And again, the reason why we're doing C1 to C2 is that's because historically where the best cons come. Obviously, C6 is fucking stupid. C1, Resonant Skill Wind Quiller can be used one time. When casting Resonant Skill, the resolve cost decreased by 15. This is good. This is very good, obviously. And then after casting Intro Skill Tactical Strike, Jiyan gains 30 resolve and his attacks decreased by 28% for 15 seconds. His constellations are genuinely very good, and it can obviously, like you said, help with ER requirements. But now your big problem coming in is what weapon are you using if you don't have Verdant Summit? Autumn Trace is cool. Right, increase attack damage by 4% upon dealing basic attack or heavy attack damage, stacking up to 5 times. This effect lasts 7 seconds. So you are clearly going to. This is not a bad option if you have Autumn Trace. But if you don't have Autumn Trace, the only other, and you don't have any of these other 5 stars, which is really just this one, the only other one you have is Lustrous Razor. And while that's not bad, it's increase energy regen by 12.8% when cast Resonant Skill. When Resonant Skill is cast, Resonant Separation damage bonus increased by 7%. But the problem with that is his Resonant Separation is considered as heavy attack damage. So the passives and the double attack is cool, but you're not getting crit rate, crit damage out of it. Therefore, the 4-star Claymores are super bad. Are you just looking at C2 first 2 cons because isn't any C6 character going to be amazing? No, yeah, we're only looking at the first 2 C6. Excuse me. Oh my god, we're only looking at the first 2 cons. Any C6, like you said, is goated. It's used on him because they want Resonant Liberation. Exactly. So I'm taking consideration if you aim for cons, you get the weapon as well. In what world do you have that much money? I don't. I think that's like we're looking from a perspective of super free to play, not spending a lot. Emerald of Genesis and the gun are the only good standard weapons. The other ones are okay. But really, I guess the weapon on most characters over the cons, Jiyan falls into the Jiyan falls into the category of go for the weapon. You are getting 40 plus crit damage out of this on top of the heavy attack damage bonus 24% by 2 times. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point, it's like, yes. Now this is going to sound a little fucked up, even though I just complained about the echoes the other day. Yes, the ER requirements are nice, but if you can just grind your echoes and get good enough echoes for it, you don't need to worry about that. Therefore, I think you go with this. You go with the weapon for sure. Most of these characters, again, we have a real severe 4-star problem in this game where 4-star weapons genuinely suck. Other than like Commando Conviction, Cadenza, and like one other one, they're pretty trash. I mean, Overture is all right as well. But, you know, I got 96%. Yeah, because you have fucking C6. Well, no, I'm kidding. So, okay. I feel like that's a fair take. Let's go Jhinshi. Let's just go Jhinshi. Jhinshi is actually very interesting. Jhinshi is very, very interesting.
May I pray for anything
And I actually
specific
feel like
for
it could
you?
really swing either way, low-key. I'm not going to lie to you. So what are her cons? Perhaps Xiangli and Jhinshi, who says 2 makes as much impact that Camila comes out, of course. So I say very good. Okay. Let's see. I don't even know what S1 does. Am I covering it? Okay. When casting basic attack, incarnation, basic attack, or resonance skill, Jhinshi gains 1 stack of Herald or Revival, stacking up to 4 times and lasting 6 seconds. When casting resonance skill, Luminous Epiphany, Jhinshi consumes all stacks. Each stack increases the skill damage of resonance skill Luminous by 20%. That is a big fucking buff. That is a big fucking buff. That's pretty fucking valid. And then C2 is broken. I know C2. Jhinshi restores 50 incandescence while staying out of combat for more than 4 seconds. This is insane for TOA, for Overdrive, for holograms. I mean, it's really good. Like, it's really, 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 really good. Like, I could 100% see people skipping the weapon for this, without a doubt. The weapon is good. You start every battle with 100. You start every battle with 100. As long as you're out of combat for X amount of time, like you said, start every battle. If you think Shorekeeper S2 is overkill, then you don't even need any weapon on Jhinshi. She one-shots anything way. So here's a problem with that, Arthur. You don't one-shot everything with Jhinshi due to the fact she needs crazy crit rate. So we're going to get into that now. So now let's talk about the weapon, right? So it says weapon gives you only 22% crit rate, which isn't that much, which is why you're probably kind of leaning more towards the cons. But it says grant 12% attribute damage bonus. Casting intro skill gives the equipper ageless marking, which grants 24 resonant skill damage, which is a big fucking buff. For 12 seconds, casting resonance skill gives the equipper Eternal Endowment, which grant actually low key, this is probably more consistent though. Huh. This is actually a hard one. She's just busted. She is busted. Gives you every single DPS. If you think about Shorekeeper 62 overkill, blah blah blah, it's only good for first rotation. Arvin brings up a really valid point. You're really gonna get more consistency out of getting this weapon than the cons. Like, obviously, if you get both, you're goated. And so while C1 is cool, you really would want to get C2. But I think you're right. I mean, the 22 crit rate always helps because you need as much crit damage as possible. I've run Jhinshi. We just ran a Jhinshi earlier with 80 plus crit rate. I think it was 85 crit rate. It missed 4 crits in a row. You know what I'm saying? And again, you run into the problem of Autumn Trace is really not that great with them. Autumn Trace is really not that good. It's a crit stat, but it's not that good. Luscious Razor's A-okay. Very, 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 very decent middle of the road. Yeah, I'm probably going to go weapon here too, man. I thought I was going to lean towards the con, but after that first rotation, you're fucked. What do you do after that first rotation? You know what I'm saying? And Jhinshi got to have a secret debuff because she's at 100%. No, I agree. Jhinshi definitely has a secret debuff, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I love having both. Why not both? Now, why not both? It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? S1 is a bigger damage bonus than the weapon, I think. I don't think so. Stack it up 4 times, damage by 20%. And then the weapon is grants intro skill gives you 24% resonant skill damage for 12 seconds, and then you get an additional 24%. Cast resonant skill gives no. It's 4 times 80% more skill damage. I don't think so. This stacks up to 4 times. I don't believe so. It says when basic attack, incarnation, or resonance skill, Jhinshi gains 1 stack of Herald, stacking up to 4 times. So you stack Herald 4 times, lasting 6 seconds. When casting resonance skill, Jhinshi consumes all stack of Herald. Each stack increases the damage of resonance skill up by 20%. Excuse me, by 20%. I don't think this is each stack increases the damage by 20%. Fuck, this is hard. So it's 80%. I agree, Arthur. I agree with you. I agree with you, though. I'm all right, Ash. We're vibing. We're recording a video. I'm trying to do math in my head. No, I asked you. You have to answer first. I'm horrible. No, we're vibing. I'm having a good day today. We're vibing. I don't know what's better either. Dad Trust means 80% more skill damage. Does Pride Wind say this? What does Pride Wind say? But I think C1's the best. I think, let's say this is 80% more. You still have to spend more wishes, though. Need to peep the shirt. Nuclear cinema. Nuclear cinema. Extra point. Yap, it's on the merch store. Nuclear cinema. Weapon has been calculated to deal more than C1. Weapon has been calculated to deal more than CO1. Yeah. Let's put it to the side. Let's put the which one does more of a buff. I think still the reason why you would still want to go with Jhinshi for weapon is because it is going to cost you significantly less if you were unlucky, obviously. And the buff is still a lot. It's a 40% buff. So I still think it's valid. Even if I'm not going to do the calculations, that's too big brain for me. It is what it is. I still think go for the weapon for her is the way to go. For sure. Nuclear buff. So I think that's valid. So yeah, I think that's cool. Yao E2 ends up being bad. I'm going to commit crimes. We could jump to Yao. Let's jump to Yao. Fuck it. We'll go to Yinlin after. I'm going to tell you Yao's weapon off rip because his attack buff is insane and the Resonance Liberation buff here is pretty crazy. But you could run surges. I actually did not look at what his weapon does. Excuse me, what his cons do at all. So, let's see. Resonance skill, Law of Rains additionally launches 6 convulsion matrices at enemies, each dealing resonance liberation damage, 8%. Yao E2 is bad because when you nuke 300, you don't need the other 90k nuke. Well, what is this? Casting skill or resonance liberation increase crit damage by 30%. Wait, why is this bad? Why is this bad? If this is how we're doing it, none of these characters are about go for weapon. Wait, what do you mean? Why is this bad? Casting res skill or resonance liberation model. I think this is a good con, no? It's a 30% crit rate damage. Excuse me, crit damage buff. On top, I'm memeing. Oh, I was about to say, I was like, wait, what? I was confused. He's gonna get his weapon, but he comes back around. I think he means just now. No, I think he's memeing us. The weapon says gain 12% attribute damage bonus when using liberation. The wielder gains 48% resonance liberation damage. That's a big buff, bro. This effect can be set by 5 seconds each time the resonance skill is captured 3 times. Holy shit, that's a big buff. I use Abyss Surges on him. Building him is so hard. I have crit rate 4 costs instead of have enough crit rate on him. Yeah, weapon definitely free to play. I feel like in this situation, low key, it would. He was a free C0 character, so it's a little different. He's a free C. He was free C0, right? So, but his weapon is fucking massive. His weapon is a really, really big increase. Like if you went for C1, I still think C1 is still pretty eh. His C2 is nutty though. Most sick weapon buffs are better than C1, C2 since most free to play weapon options are dog shit. Yeah, I agree. I think in this situation, I think it's safe to say you go with the weapon. Like that patch only gave out 60 pulls, right? But they gave you a free 5-star. So instead of rolling the dice on getting a con, you would get the weapon for the 48% resonance liberation damage buff for 8 seconds. And what's really hard to make an argument to not go for weapons since it's so cheap to get signature weapons. Yes. Although I do have there is going to be some characters that are different. Like for example, we can go to Zhezhi. Let's jump to Zhezhi here. So Zhezhi says, remember the options are going to be go to with the sauce for the cons, very good, go for weapon, or skip both. I actually think we could take away, very good. I think you could take away that. I think it's just these 3 to make life simple. Zhezhi's cons. Did I get her weapon? I didn't get her weapon. Okay, good. I was about to be very upset with myself. So, casting resonance skill restores 15 resonance energy and crit rate by 10%. That is cool. Max Inkling summoned by resonance liberation increased by 6. And then her weapon. Let's go to Hakushin because I don't have her weapon. This weapon was pretty mid. It has 72% crit damage, but it says increase attack by 12% when the wielder's on field using resonance skill grants 12% basic attack damage bonus, stacking up to 3 times. At 3 stacks or above, casting outro skill consumes all attacks of this effect and grants the wielder 52% basic attack damage for 27 seconds. This is fucking stupid. It's just not a good weapon. It's just not a good weapon, honestly. Just pull S2 free to call it a day. You wouldn't Jhinshi, like, what makes them goated? Goated would mean that you should go for the cons over the weapon. So maybe I could clarify that. Con over weapon. Let's put that, con over weapon. Just to make clarification easier for the video. Her cons are not needed. I don't even have her last forte out, and she's fine. Her weapon is not good. Her cons are really mid. I really think she's unfortunately falls into the situation of skip both and not even go for anything, because realistically her only main use right now is to be an incandescence buff for her, and she just needs to be built a little bit. Also, realistically, you could just use Yanwu. Therefore, I think neither one of them are good. Her cons aren't bad. Her cons aren't bad, but they're not needed. Her incandescence and her energy regen is more than enough. Kind of sounds broken for Encore. It's like String Master, I think, is still better. I would assume String Master is still better. Rip, I got that weapon. Sheesh. Sheesh. Okay. We'll go to Yinlin. Yep, just get the String Master. Yeah, Yinlin. It's not a bad weapon. Highest crit damage boost in the game at the moment. Who are you using that on? Yinlin's not going to use it. Zhezhi is not a main DPS. Let's go back to Zhezhi. It's not a good weapon. For the value of her, it is not good. Encore, Zhezhi, Yinlin can use it as well. Why would Yinlin use that? Why would you not just use Yinlin's String Master? Encore, but String Master is better on her? Yeah, String Master is just a better weapon. I did a DPS Shorekeeper. It was fucking horrible. If you didn't pull for the weapon, yes, but... Okay. I think if you didn't pull for the weapon, at that point, why waste your Asterite on a inferior weapon when you can just go for this in the meantime? You just go for Cosmic Ripples in the meantime. Because this still gives basic attack damage. Increase energy regen when dealing basic attack damage. Increase basic attack damage bonus by 3.2, stacking up to 5 times. This effect lasts for 8 seconds. Now, granted, it's double attack, but I don't think you should, you know, Zhezhi's still much better than Cosmic, I think. I don't think so. I don't believe so. I feel like Cosmic Ripples is still going to be better. Where is this? Gains 12% attribute damage when dealing resonant skill damage. Increase attack 12%. Stack up 2 times. The effect lasts when the wielder is not on field. Increase attack additional. Maybe it would be better, I guess, technically. Let's pull this back up. Increase attack when the wielder is on field using resonant skill. Grants 12% attack damage bonus, stacking up to 3 times. 12, 24, 36. At 3 stacks or above, casting outro skill consumes all the stack of this effect and grants the wielder. But wait a second. This 52% basic attack damage, who's getting this buff? It's not Encore. This casting outro skill consumes all the stacks of this effect and grants the wielder. So wouldn't it be the next person on field getting this buff? Wouldn't it not be Encore? Or am I on drugs? Instead, not going to waste pulls on that. I agree. The wielder, it would be person going off field. I thought it would be the person using it. It's meant for off field damage. What off field damage? I mean, prods when the wielder's off field. So you're going to get the buff for her little woolly attack. It buffs Zhezhi's coordinated. Yeah. I don't think this is great for Encore. I think this part is cool. It's not practical for Encore that much. That's what I'm saying. Like, this weapon is not bad. Let me rephrase it. It's not trash. It's not great. You don't need it. Oh, it's only for off field? That's what I'm saying, bro. So this weapon is, again, she's falling in the category of just skip both. It's not needed. The reason why I'm making this video is I feel as if there's a lot of the times people feel the need to push cons, and I'm trying to demonstrate that cons are not necessarily needed. The weapons are more really needed in this game. This game is not like Genshin Impact. There's not a million viable 4-star weapons, right? C2 in Genshin sometimes, I mean, no constellation needed in Genshin, but it's a massive buff. But in this situation, I think it's very, very different. For Encore String Master, best. Cosmic Ripple, second. That's what I assumed. All right, moving on to Yinlin then. Cool. Got it. Let's go to Yinlin. Yinlin, I have a massive hot take. I don't think Yinlin is S tier anymore, but it is what it is. We'll do that in a completely separate video. Resonance skill, magnet roar, and lightning execution deal 70% more damage. I feel like nobody fucking cares. Personally, like this is, I think obviously 70% more damage on that is cool, but also realistically, are you spending 160 pulls potentially for that? Arvin's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? My Yinlin, big rip. I miss you're good, Brenda. It'll come back. Resonance skill, electromagnetic burst, recovers an additional 5 judgment points in resonance. Now this is good. Her C2 is valid. Zhezhi changed Yinlin's importance. Yes, but also Zhezhi's importance is really not that high as well. They're both pretty, I think they're both T0.5 at highest. I don't think either one of them are T0. Technically speaking, Yinlin is more, I mean, this is a completely different topic, but Yinlin's more universal than Zhezhi, but we'll get to that a different day. This is good. This is very, very good. But again, String Master is just such a universal catalyst. Electric Amplification grants 12% bonus damage. Ignore that. But again, we just went over this. 12% bonus damage. Resonance skill damage increased by 12%, stacking up to 2 times. Effect lasts for 5 seconds. When the fielder is not on field, increases their attack damage by 12%. I feel like you really don't need much with Yinlin. You know, throw Moonlit on her. Throw this. I think her weapon is obviously very good. Now, Abyss Surges could work, right? But, like, this is another one of those situations. Go for the weapon instead. I think sub DPS in the game are not that contributing in comparison with DPS supports. I agree with you. I agree. Changli is next. And Changli is the last character. And her fucking weapon is busted. I'm just going to spoil it for you right now. I'm going to spoil it for you. Go for weapon. Right? But I do. I have C3 Lion Boy. Sorry to hear that. Oh my god, we're at 399 hours. Jesus Christ. Ash, I appreciate you. Thank you for all the gifted subs, the resubs. You guys were fucking insane. Holy shit. All right. So maybe you should turn off alerts for videos. Nah, I don't mind that. That doesn't bother me. Okay. C1. Resonance skill and heavy attack increase Xiangli's damage dealt by 10% and resistance to interruption. This is actually really fucking good. Her C1 off rip is amazing, and her C2 is great as well. Enflammement increases Xiangli's crit rate by 25%. If you were to get C2, that stops the crit rate damage issue. Excuse me, the crit rate problem, where realistically critting is a myth in this video game. But the problem in lies her sword is fucking broken. Attack increased by 12%. The wielder gains 1 stack of Searing Feather upon dealing damage, which she can trigger once every 0.5 seconds. Gain 5 stacks of the same effect upon casting Resonance skill. Each stack of Searing Feather gives 4% additional Resonance skill damage bonus for up to 14 stacks. After reaching the max stacks, all stacks remove in 12 seconds. This is busted. But you have Emerald of Genesis, though. And this is where I think if you have Sig plus C2, you can easily build 75, 30, 50. Yes. Her weapon is not that busted compared to the buff Jhinshi gets from hers. Shay, so that's what I'm bringing up. While Ingo can go all the way to R5 overtime too, this one's a little tricky. My personal answer, just to save Asterite and money, I would personally go weapon. But realistically, I could see someone doing the cons over the weapon. I could very well see someone doing constellations over the weapon due to the fact that Emerald of Genesis gives you however many crit rate. How much does it give you on Kushan? Let me see. I don't even have my shit leveled. She's so hot to get the weapon. Her C2 is better than everything else. Her C2 is busted. Her C2 is insane. Her C2 is ridiculous. Characters. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Weapons. Let's go here. And then let's go Emerald. What does it give you? 20 something? 24 crit rate. 24.3 crit rate, right? On top of the other 25, that is 50 crit rate for doing nothing. You can run a crit damage main slot echo instead of running a crit rate echo, and then get your crit rate substats and bang out a ton of damage. It's a free 50 crit rate. Back just in time. Welcome Anostio. So yeah, I could see going for the constellation C2 over the weapon. Because if Emerald of Genesis did not exist, because the passive on Emerald of Genesis is still good. It still works for her. So the passive is still fine. But if it wasn't so much free crit rate, I think it would easily be the weapon. So yeah, blue weapon aesthetically got weapon. Emo, yeah, emo is great. Emo is absolutely great. Welcome in V. Welcome back, Stinky. It won't increase damage. Only increase the frequency of how many times you crit, which therefore increases your damage. If you have a split of 50 over 300, and you're critting 3 times out of 10, and then if you have a split of 80 over, let's say, I don't know, 150 is too low, but 80 over like 180, right? You're going to be doing more damage because you're going to be critting more consistently. Get the weapon if you play Donjon. Get the weapon if you play Donjon. And Emerald is only a 14% decrease from her SIG, and you get dupes for it over time. Yep. There's like a 30% performance loss on EOG. 14%. Only 14. But yeah, V, how you feeling, Stingy? How was your nap? So yeah, it overall, you get more damage out of that. So yeah. Changli needs the ER of EOG so bad. I think this is a fair list. Again, me personally, I wouldn't go for the cons. I would not go for the cons, but I could see people doing it, and I think this is the most fair list. I think this is the most fair, genuine, honest list you could possibly get. I disagree with the Changli cons totally. So here's the thing. I don't disagree with you. At the beginning of Changli, I said go for the weapon, right? Especially if you run Donjon, because this is busted on Donjon. However, you could make an argument that her cons do more than the weapon, and then you get Emerald of Genesis. Therefore, it's easier. Now, it's going to require way more Asterite, and I wouldn't recommend doing it. But technically speaking, if you have the money, or if you're willing to spend it, you get more value out of that. Maybe if con, you save money weapon if you want to save pulls. You're overvalued C1 first. It's a dead con by many TCers. So you're only going for C2. So let's say this is a dead con, right? Let's just say that's a dead con. This is massive. So what's the point? We're going and rolling for C2. Dope. 10% is still not bad, right? Interrupter resistance is great, even though she never gets interrupted regardless. So it is what it is. But this is the big one right here. Just get lucky at 3 copies. That's valid. That's valid. That's valid. Meridian cons aren't good if you don't have weapon. No, you have Emerald of Genesis for free. You have Emerald. If they, in comparison to someone like, let's say Jhinshi, right? If they gave you a free weapon, I mean, Autumn Trace is okay, right? But like a lot of these other weapon types don't really have crit rate weapons. We don't have a main pistol DPS, so that doesn't count. You're not getting free crit rate from any of these. You have to buy the weapons. But like realistically, it's not that big. Dude, if you want to build 75 350 crit ratio, you need a weapon with crit damage main stat. Why do you want 75 over 350? That's way overkill. Like that's the most optimal nonsense possible. Like 75 over 350 is the most unattainable thing imaginary, and it's not needed. Like realistically, that is the top 1% that are going to get a 75 over 350. So that's a little silly. That's looking from a very, very elitist perspective. We are looking from a casual player's perspective who's playing the game and has limited resources. 25% crit rate for 2 dupes on 1 character. I think you're underselling it. 25% crit rate on top of 24% crit rate off of Emerald of Genesis. So you're saving. You don't need to get the weapon. So that's 50% crit rate off rip, and then you can get more crit damage and still get crit rate substats. Like I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that bad. And again, it's only a 15% difference. It's calling my name. So